Welcome everyone to today's conversation. We stand at a significant moment in our lives, a time when we question the meaning of life, wonder about our path, and sometimes feel that something great is on the horizon. But how do we know where these good things come from? How can we recognize when God's blessings are drawing near, and are we truly ready to receive them? In life, there are moments when we feel uncertain, as though we're on the verge of something greater, yet we can't quite pinpoint what that is. It might be a shift in our career, growth in a relationship, or a new opportunity that appears unexpectedly. All these feelings make us wonder, is God preparing something special for me? So how can we know when God's blessings are near? This is not an easy question to answer, but God has promised that He always prepares the best for us, even when we don't realize it. He is constantly at work in His perfect way, even if we don't see or feel it immediately. What God does in your life is not always clear, but every action He takes has a purpose and meaning. Today we will explore the signs that God has prepared for each of us to better understand when we are entering a season of blessing. There will be challenges, there will be changes, but these things are not meant to harm you. They are meant to prepare you for something greater. I want to share with you that every challenge in our lives is part of God's plan. Every difficulty you face is not random, but rather a preparation for the blessings God has in store for you. He is always working with a perfect plan, and it is crucial that we trust and maintain faith in His guidance, Have you ever felt like you're standing at the threshold of something great, yet you can't quite define what it is? These moments often leave us feeling uncertain, unsure of what to do, and questioning whether we're on the right path. These feelings can be confusing, but remember, they may be a sign that God is working in your life. We often expect things to unfold according to a clear plan, but God's plan is not always obvious from the beginning. He often guides us through winding paths, through trials and changes, ultimately leading us to a place we never anticipated. What we sense in those moments of uncertainty is not confusion, but preparation for something greater. So how do we know when God's blessings are near? Sometimes God shows us signs, uncomfortable changes, or difficult obstacles. But these are not signs of failure, on the contrary. They are the challenges God is using to prepare us for something bigger. Do you sometimes feel like you're facing insurmountable obstacles? Or do you feel like you're battling opposition from others? These feelings might be signs that God is at work in your life, preparing something special for you. He doesn't want you to give up, but to keep moving forward, because a great blessing is near. God has promised that He always prepares the best for us, even when we haven't yet seen or realized it. Every step you take has been ordained by God. And the difficulties and challenges ahead are not signs of defeat, but rather indicators that He is working in your life. God is always preparing you, quietly working behind the scenes and preparing blessings beyond your imagination. Don't give up when things get tough, because that's often the sign that you're very close to the significant change God has planned for your life. With these promises in mind, let's explore the signs that God is preparing blessings for each of us so we can be ready to receive the wonderful things He has in store. When our lives go through sudden changes, we often feel unsettled, uncomfortable, and disoriented. These are moments when everything seems to be out of our control. But did you know that these very moments are signs that God is preparing something great for you? Uncomfortable transitions are the first and most important signs that God uses to push us out of our comfort zones. Change always requires us to face difficulties, things we didn't expect, but God doesn't make us go through these feelings for no reason. He is preparing us for advancement, a new season of life. This is how God brings you closer to the great blessing He has planned for you all along. Change always comes with discomfort, anxiety, and sometimes fear. We often feel unbalanced, as if everything around us is falling apart. But remember, every transition in life is an opportunity for God to shape us into the person He wants us to become. We cannot grow if we remain stuck in our comfort zones. God has to push us out, making us face challenges and grow through each difficulty. Life is like a field, and we are the seeds planted in it. Without the rain, without the changes in the weather, the seed cannot sprout and grow. Similarly, we need to go through uncomfortable changes to grow and reach new heights. God is using the discomfort in your life as a tool to lead you to where He has already planned for you to go. You might feel uncomfortable, but that is not a sign of failure. On the contrary, it is a sign of growth. When you feel yourself being pushed out of your comfort zone, remember that God is preparing something greater for you. Don't fear the change, because every change brings an opportunity for you to grow and achieve greater things in your life. Let's take a look at the story of Joseph in the Bible. Joseph was the beloved son of Jacob, but his life changed completely when his own brothers sold him into slavery to merchants headed to Egypt. From being loved and protected, Joseph found himself in a harsh situation as a slave, and later he was falsely accused and imprisoned. There is nothing more uncomfortable than having your life turned upside down, going from a position of honor to the depths of despair. But it was in this suffering that God used Joseph's experiences to prepare him for an even greater position in the future. Joseph never gave up his faith in God, even when he faced injustice and continuous trials. And in the end, God brought Joseph out of prison and placed him in a position of power, making him the ruler of Egypt under Pharaoh, saving an entire nation during a time of famine. The discomfort Joseph experienced was not a sign of failure, but a stepping stone toward the great mission God had in store for him. Joseph's story is a clear example of how God uses difficulties and change to prepare us for greater blessings. If Joseph had not gone through those trials, he would never have become the great leader that God had destined him to be. The discomfort and unsettling changes we feel in life are not signs of the end, but signs of the beginning of a new journey. The key message here is discomfort is not meant to harm you. God does not make you go through trials for the sake of meaningless suffering. He wants to shape you, to prepare you for something greater. The discomfort you feel is just part of the journey, part of the process by which God is shaping you into the best version of yourself. God is using discomfort to push you out of your comfort zone, where you may have become comfortable but stagnant. He wants you to face challenges, because it's only by overcoming challenges that you will discover the true strength within you. It is through pain and discomfort that you will find deeper faith in God and grow into the person He has destined you to be. Trust in this process. God is preparing you, and He is placing you exactly where He needs you to be. Discomfort is not a sign of failure, but a sign of preparation for the great blessing that God has planned for your life. When we draw closer to the great blessings that God has prepared for us, don't be surprised if you encounter more challenges and opposition. The second sign that God is preparing a blessing for you is the increase of trials and external resistance. When you're on the path to accomplishing something significant, you will often face greater obstacles. This doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. On the contrary, it's proof that you're nearing the goal that God has set for you. Think back to the times when you felt like everything around you was turning against you, and every step you took met with resistance. Perhaps you thought that God was punishing you, or that you had chosen the wrong path. But in reality, this is when you need to hold on to your faith and understand that the increase in obstacles is a sign that the blessing is closer than ever. When we face challenges, they are not simply obstacles in the way of success. These difficulties are part of the process God uses to refine us, to make us stronger, and to prepare us to receive the blessing. The increase in opposition doesn't mean that God has abandoned you, quite the opposite. It's a sign that you're on the right track and that you're very close to the blessing He promised. When God prepares a blessing, you will see an increase in challenges, not because God wants to test your patience, but because He wants you to grow strong enough to hold on to those blessings. The closer you get to the blessing, the more opposition you may face. What once seemed easy may suddenly become difficult, and those who once supported you may begin to doubt, leaving you feeling like you're fighting alone. But that doesn't mean you're on the wrong path. These challenges are clear signs that you are on the right track, and God is preparing something great for you. He doesn't want you to give up when things get hard. He wants you to persevere because the blessing is very near. In the Bible, we see a clear example of how God uses obstacles to test the faith and perseverance of those he chooses. Nehemiah, a servant in the Persian king's court, was called by God to return to Jerusalem and rebuild the city's walls after they had been destroyed. When he heard about the ruined state of Jerusalem, Nehemiah was heartbroken and knew that God was calling him to take action. However, Nehemiah's journey was not easy. As soon as he began the work of rebuilding the wall, he faced fierce opposition from Israel's enemies. They mocked him, tried to sabotage the work, and did everything they could to prevent him and his companions from completing their mission. But Nehemiah did not give up. He believed that God had called him with a great purpose, and despite the opposition, he persisted. Throughout the rebuilding process, Nehemiah and his companions had to work in difficult conditions, constantly on guard against their enemies. But through faith in God and unwavering perseverance, Nehemiah completed the work and restored the walls of Jerusalem, providing protection and security for his people. Nehemiah's story is a clear lesson in persistence and faith. Even when faced with many challenges and opposition, he trusted in God's calling and did not let any obstacle hinder the mission that God had entrusted to him. The obstacles he faced were not signs of failure, but signs of preparation for the greater blessing that God had promised. What's important to remember is this: opposition is not a sign of failure. When you feel like you're facing resistance, when people begin to doubt you, and when life gets harder, don't panic. Don't think you've chosen the wrong path. In fact, it's a sign that you're on the right path. God is preparing a blessing for you, and he wants you to be strong enough to hold on to that blessing when it arrives. Look at Nehemiah's story. He didn't give up when faced with opposition, but kept working despite the obstacles. God allowed those obstacles not to make him give up, but to test and strengthen his faith. When you feel like everything is against you, that's when God is refining you to make you stronger and ready for the blessing he has set for you. God doesn't allow you to face trials without purpose. He is sharpening you, building in you the perseverance and strength needed to overcome every opposition and reach the goal he has set for your life. The increase in obstacles is proof of God's preparation in your life, and he wants you to persist and overcome every trial. When God is preparing a great blessing for you, there will be moments when you feel an extraordinary desire to grow, an inner drive to become the best version of yourself. This desire is not merely a personal ambition, it is a deep calling from God, a sign that he is awakening you for a greater responsibility in life. When you experience periods of calm, but inside you feel a burning fire, a strong urge to grow, to learn, and to rise higher, that is God calling you. He doesn't want you to remain where you are. He wants you to grow even further, to reach new heights and achieve extraordinary things that you might never have imagined. This desire for growth is not just a personal push for success. It comes from deep within your soul. It is a calling from God telling you that he wants you to grow both personally and spiritually. We often think that completing our daily tasks is enough, but God has bigger plans. When God prepares you for a great blessing, he will stir within you an extraordinary desire to grow, to climb to new levels you may have never thought possible. This desire can be hard to explain, but it is powerful. You might feel compelled to learn a new skill, read books you've never considered before, or seek out opportunities you never thought you would pursue. This growth doesn't stop with your career. It also includes your spiritual development, deepening your faith in God and the mission he has entrusted to you. A prime example of this extraordinary desire for growth is found in the story of Moses in the Bible. Moses, after fleeing Egypt and living in the desert for 40 years, led a quiet life as a shepherd. He was far removed from the chaos and conflict of Egypt. But one day, God called him through the burning bush, and that was when the fire within him was ignited. God placed in Moses a strong desire to return to Egypt, face Pharaoh, and free the Israelites from slavery. Moses, who had been living peacefully in the desert, suddenly became a leader with a powerful desire to rescue his people. This desire was not random. It was a sign from God that he had been preparing Moses for a greater mission. The story of Moses clearly illustrates that when God prepares you for a mission, He will awaken in you a remarkable desire. He will not allow you to stay where you are, but will push you to grow, become a leader, and take on greater responsibilities. This desire for growth doesn't come from personal ambition, but from the divine calling that God places within you. When you start feeling a strong push from within, a desire for exceptional growth, know that it is not by chance. It is God preparing you for greater responsibilities and greater things He has planned for you. God doesn't want you to stop. He doesn't want you to settle for small things. He has a larger plan for your life. This desire is a sign that you are ready to step into a new phase of life where you will take on bigger responsibilities, have greater influence, and contribute more to others. God has already placed within you abilities and potential that you have not yet discovered, and He is awakening these things through the extraordinary desire for growth that you feel. When you feel driven to learn, to grow, and to rise higher, understand that this is the moment when God wants you to prepare for something greater. Don't resist this push, and don't fear that you aren't capable enough. God will provide everything you need to carry out the mission He has given you. Trust that this extraordinary desire for growth is a sign of God's preparation for a greater mission He has planned for you. When God is preparing a great blessing for you, opportunities often come from the most unexpected places. These opportunities may arise from seemingly ordinary situations, events that appear insignificant, but in reality, they are doors opening to the blessings God has prepared for you. These new opportunities are not random. They are the result of divine guidance, a sign that God is working in your life, arranging everything to lead you into a new season filled with blessings. Have you ever experienced moments when a great opportunity appeared, but it came from a place you never expected? Sometimes we expect opportunities to come from certain sources, such as our current job or the people we know well. But God works in different ways. He may open doors from places we never considered. This is a clear sign that God is at work, paving the way for you to step into a new season of special blessings. Opportunities from unexpected places often come when you're not actively seeking them. God may place you in a situation you never anticipated, but within that situation, He opens a door to an opportunity you could never have imagined. It's important to recognize that these opportunities are not coincidences. God has purposefully arranged them, opening doors for you to receive the blessings He has promised. One of the clearest examples of an unexpected opportunity can be found in the story of Ruth, a Moabite woman who lost her husband and chose to follow her mother-in-law, Naomi, back to Bethlehem. Ruth had nothing. She was a foreigner in a strange land. She didn't expect anything beyond finding a way to survive, but in that difficult situation, God had prepared an incredible opportunity for her. Ruth decided to go to the fields to glean leftover grain to support her mother-in-law. However, God had arranged for her to end up in the field of Boaz, a wealthy relative of Naomi. What seemed like a simple act with little hope led Ruth to meet Boaz, and that meeting changed her life completely. Boaz not only helped Ruth by protecting her during her work, but he also became her redeemer, providing for her and her family. From being a poor widow, Ruth became the wife of Boaz, and through this marriage, she became the ancestor of King David and eventually of Jesus Christ. Ruth's greatest opportunity didn't come from anything she could have predicted or planned. It appeared in a field in Bethlehem. Her story shows us that God uses ordinary circumstances to open up great blessings, and opportunities can arise from the most unexpected places. Ruth's story reminds us that small opportunities in life can lead to great blessings. Sometimes we tend to overlook small opportunities, things that seem insignificant, but God uses those small things to open up bigger doors in our lives. Great opportunities often begin with small steps, and God works through the simple things that we may not recognize at first. When you are presented with an opportunity, even if it seems small, take a closer look. Don't dismiss it just because it doesn't match your expectations. God may be using that small opportunity to guide you toward greater blessings. Ruth's opportunity wasn't grand at the beginning, it was just gleaning in the fields. But that simple action led to a permanent change in her life. We can't always see what God has planned, but we must be willing to embrace small opportunities as they may be the beginning of the great blessings God is preparing. When opportunities arise, open your heart to receive them and trust that God is working, leading you toward a brighter and more blessed future. When God is preparing a great blessing for you, one of the clearest signs is the appearance of new relationships, often referred to as divine connections. These people do not enter your life by coincidence. They are sent by God to help you, guide you on your journey, and push you closer to the goals and blessings that He has ordained for you. At times, these divine connections may not appear as you expect. They may not start as close friends or have an obvious role in your life initially. But over time and through different circumstances, you will realize that they are people God has placed in your path to help you navigate difficult seasons or open doors that you could not open on your own. God often brings relationships into our lives, not just for the present, but to prepare us for the future. These people are not merely co-workers or casual friends, but individuals whom God has destined to help you grow, offer wise counsel when you need it most, or even introduce you to opportunities you never imagined. These divine connections often come with a deep sense of connection right from the start. They are people who share your goals and mission, and they enter your life with a special purpose that God has already planned. It is important to open your heart to these relationships and recognize that they are a gift from God, meant to help you stay on the path that He has chosen for you. One of the clearest examples of a divine relationship in the Bible is the friendship between David and Jonathan. After David was chosen by God to be the future king of Israel, he faced many challenges in life, especially the hostility from King Saul, Jonathan's father. Out of jealousy, Saul sought to kill David, knowing that David would replace him as king. In these difficult circumstances, God placed Jonathan in David's life as a close friend and loyal ally. Jonathan wasn't just a friend, but played a crucial role in protecting David from Saul's attempts to kill him. Jonathan even risked his life to save David, recognizing that God had chosen David to be king. Jonathan's loyalty and friendship were not accidental, but divinely orchestrated to help David through the most difficult times and ensure he fulfilled the mission God had given him. Without Jonathan, David might not have survived Saul's relentless pursuit, and he would not have gone on to become one of Israel's greatest kings. The story of David and Jonathan illustrates how God brings divine connections into our lives at exactly the moments we need them most. Jonathan was an essential part of David's journey, and his loyalty helped David navigate through trials and keep his faith in God's promise. The main message here is, divine relationships do not happen by chance. God brings these people into your life to prepare you for the blessings He has in store. You cannot overcome all challenges alone, and God knows that. He uses these relationships to provide you with support, guidance, and sometimes opportunities that you could not create on your own. When you meet someone with whom you feel a deep connection, open your heart to them and explore what God might be doing through that relationship. Don't dismiss relationships because they don't seem important at the moment. God may be using these people to open doors you haven't yet seen or help you through challenges you'll face in the future. Divine relationships can take many forms. Sometimes it is a mentor, a friend, or even a colleague you never thought could help you. But trust that when God places someone in your life, He has a plan for both you and them. Don't underestimate the importance of recognizing and valuing these connections. Another powerful sign that God is preparing you for a great blessing is when clarity and purpose suddenly become more evident than ever before. In life, there are times when you may feel confused or uncertain about your path. You may not know what you're working toward, but when God prepares you for a new season, He will bring a deep understanding of your life's purpose. Things that were once vague suddenly become clear, and you will know exactly what you need to do and which path to follow. When God begins His work in you, everything in your life starts to make more sense. The questions you once asked, "Why is this happening to me?" or "What do I really want to achieve?" become clear and easier to answer. Life's goals that once seemed unclear now become specific and focused. You understand more about the path you are on, and you feel God guiding each step. This clarity does not come from within you, but from God. He is opening your eyes to show you the purpose and direction for your life that He has planned all along. Suddenly you realize that all the struggles and challenges you faced had meaning and purpose. They helped shape the resilience, wisdom, and heart you need to receive the blessings God is preparing. A powerful example of sudden clarity and purpose is seen in the story of Paul. Before becoming one of Christianity's greatest apostles, Paul, then known as Saul, persecuted believers in Christ and had no idea how God would use him in the future. On the road to Damascus, where he planned to arrest followers of Christ, Saul encountered Jesus in a blinding light. That moment of physical blindness was also the moment of spiritual clarity. Paul realized that God had a special plan for him, not just to forgive his past actions, but to call him to be one of the greatest preachers of the gospel. The physical blindness Saul experienced wasn't a punishment, but God's way of opening his eyes to a completely new purpose. After that, Paul was never the same. He had a clear mission to spread the gospel and lead countless people to Christ. Paul's story shows that clarity and purpose can come suddenly, but when God opens your eyes to your true mission, everything in your life gains more meaning. When you suddenly understand everything more clearly, when you have a deep sense of purpose and direction, it's a strong sign that God is preparing you for a season of blessing. God doesn't work in chaos. He works with clarity and purpose. When God is ready to bless you, He will make the path clear, and He will guide every step of your journey. Clarity of purpose not only helps you understand yourself better, but also helps you see your role in God's greater plan. As you become more aware of your mission, you'll know exactly what steps to take, who to connect with, and what opportunities to seize to move toward the place God has prepared for you. This is the time when you must be ready to act. When clarity comes, don't hesitate or hold back. God has been preparing you for something great, and He is now pointing the way. Use this clarity to move toward the goal God has set for you, because this is a sign that a season of blessing is near. One of the final and most powerful signs when God is preparing a new season of blessings for you is the stirring in your soul. This stirring is not anxiety or negative restlessness, but an inner sense that something is changing, that God is leading you in a new direction. This feeling of restlessness may make you uneasy, but it is a sign that God is calling you to take action, preparing you for a greater mission and a new phase in your life. Have you ever felt a deep restlessness in your heart that you couldn't explain, yet it wasn't fear or anxiety? That is the sign of the stirring in your soul, a feeling that God is working in you, preparing you for something new and significant. This feeling may cause you to worry, making you think more deeply, but it is God's way of telling you that He is preparing a new season of blessings for you. The stirring in your soul often happens when you are about to step into a major change in your life. It could be a change in your job, relationships, or even your spiritual journey. God never leaves you in a stagnant state for too long where you don't grow. He wants you to move forward. And this stirring is His way of pushing you out of your comfort zone so that you can prepare for something better. A story in the Bible that speaks to this stirring in the soul is clearly seen in the life of Nehemiah. Nehemiah wasn't a prophet or a religious leader. He was a cupbearer in the court of King Artaxerxes of Persia, a position of power and trust. Nehemiah was living a comfortable and secure life, but when he heard about the destruction of Jerusalem, where the city walls were torn down and God's temple was abandoned, a deep stirring arose in his heart. The restlessness in Nehemiah's soul was not just sadness or concern for his homeland, it was a sign from God. God placed a burden in his heart, making it impossible for him to remain still. Even though Nehemiah was in a position of power and didn't need to leave his place of safety, God awakened him, showing him that he needed to act. The stirring in Nehemiah's soul was God's sign that He had chosen him to return to Jerusalem and rebuild its walls. Nehemiah couldn't remain still with the stirring in his heart. He prayed and acted, asking the king for permission to return home and lead the people in rebuilding Jerusalem. Nehemiah's story shows us that when God is preparing a great blessing for you, He will create a stirring in your heart, urging you to act, even if it means leaving the safety of your current situation. But this stirring is a clear sign that God is leading you into a new phase where blessings and your mission await. The key message we need to understand here is not to ignore the stirring in your soul. When God places restlessness in your heart, it is not by chance, but a sign that you are about to step into a new season with the blessings He has prepared. This stirring may make you feel uneasy, but embrace it as a sign from God that He is preparing you for something greater. God never lets us stay comfortable for too long. He always wants us to progress, and the stirring in your soul is His way of pushing you out of your comfort zone. He wants you to know that blessings are waiting for you, but you must take action, move, and be willing to embrace change. When you feel a stirring in your heart, pray and ask God for guidance. Ask Him what He wants you to do, and He will illuminate your path. This stirring is not something to avoid, but a sign from God that you are on the right path and you are drawing closer to the blessings He has prepared. When God prepares you for a great blessing, He sends you signs. Throughout the journey we have traveled together, I have shared with you 7 clear signs that God often uses to let us know that He is working in our lives. The first sign is uncomfortable transitions. The discomfort you feel is not a punishment, but God's way of pushing you out of your comfort zone to help you grow. The second sign is an increase in obstacles and opposition. Difficulties and resistance are not failures, but evidence that you are on the right path and that God is working in you. The third sign is an extraordinary desire to grow. When God is preparing a great blessing, He will awaken within you a desire for growth that you have never experienced before. The fourth sign is new opportunities appearing in unexpected places. God opens doors you didn't anticipate, and small opportunities can lead you to greater blessings. The fifth sign is the appearance of divine relationships. God brings people into your life who can help you go further and prepare you for a new stage in life. The sixth sign is sudden clarity and purpose. God will show you more clearly the goals of your life and what you need to do to achieve the mission He has assigned you. The seventh sign is the stirring in your soul. When your heart is unsettled and restless, that is God's sign that He is pushing you into a new season of blessings. After all these signs, I want to remind you to trust in the journey that God is leading you on. Hold on to your faith, because blessings don't come immediately, but God always has a greater plan for each of us. The difficulties you face, the challenges you encounter, and the restlessness in your heart, all are part of God's plan. Don't give up, because God never gives up on you. He sees your perseverance, and He is preparing you for greater things. Even when you don't see it right away, remember that God is always working in the shadows, always preparing you for a greater harvest, that in due time you will see His blessings. I thank you for journeying with me through this. Thank you for listening, for sharing your feelings, and for trusting that God always has a plan for each of us. The journey to blessings is not always easy, but if we continue to hold on to faith, if we keep fighting, the blessings will come and God will give us the best. I encourage you to look back on your life, to find the signs that God has sent you, and to act according to those signs. God is working in you, leading you step by step, and He will never let you walk alone. Trust in God. Trust in the journey He has planned for you. The blessings He has prepared are not just about wealth or fame, but about peace, happiness, and inner fulfillment. God wants you to grow, and He will always be by your side to help you achieve the best things. Be ready, because the season of blessings is near. Are you ready to receive it?